Hello, hello, every, but hello, there she is, Lila. Hello, hello, good to see you. And there he is, Raymond. Good to see you. And of course, there was Tania the whole time, but in two dimensions, but Technicolor. Yes, and there's Michael. All right, we are a quar. We are. Oh, thank you for asking. Sorry. And sorry. Wait. So we are totally cool. Oh, there's so much in the chat. That's awesome. Good afternoon, Jadith. Thank you. Good afternoon, Luis. Thank you. Good afternoon, Shen. Thank you for asking. I will answer in one sec. Oh, and there's Joyce. Oh, we have this is like the video killed the radio star class. I love it. Hello, Samaya. Hello, Mantra. Thank you for asking. I will answer in a moment. I mean, very well. Thank you for asking. I'll answer. Good afternoon, Chef. Wait. Oh, that's like a thing, right? Wait. Okay. Thank you. I think that's a thank you, Raymond. And good afternoon, Tania. All dimensions appertaining thereon too. So how am I feeling? Thank you guys for asking. It's so nice. You don't have to do that every day. No, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like terrific. Like honestly, it is true. I do have a surgery tomorrow, which is fine. Like it's all part of the deal. But it does mean that's why we're missing class Wednesday, but it's not because I don't feel well. It's like part of the whole thing. And just to be super clear, yeah, the surgery is late tomorrow, which is why we're missing Wednesday. But for those of one of you who have me for class Tuesday morning, we are having class Tuesday morning for good or for bad. But I'm going to go straight from class to surgery, just to be clear. Okay, she's got it. Okay. So no, I feel great. Thank you. I hope you guys feel great. And hello, Nico. Great to see you. Okay. So what we're doing well, let me backtrack. Like everybody's doing well with the homework. I'm getting like I think you're all at various places, which is fine. But revisions have been coming in some cases, like double revisions are coming in. Some people now have gotten all the points on some things. I believe you still can. Um, and anyway, you still can go back and revise old things to get all the points. The thing that's on the docket right now, just to be clear too, like homework 3 was sort of technically due a little while ago, but we still haven't finished going over homework 2 or gone to homework 3. Therefore, homework 4, which is on the queue, right? You may have noticed like homework 4 is the next thing that's due, but it still isn't due. I mean, it's like a big step forward. It has to do with what's going on in lab now and everything. So we need a little time, well, for me to catch up with you or whatever. So you may not be able to even look at homework 4 for a while. Like it's a leap forward. So if you're totally done with homework 3 and you have revised everything that you can, gotten all the points on 1 and 2, you can pause and think about lab for a while until I start addressing what's going on in lab. Um, and helping you prepare for homework 4, so, because that's like the next topic, basically. That's why it's not due for a while. But that's what's on the queue if you're curious. Um, so that's logistics. Then last logistical thing, the video. So we're not meeting synchronously this Wednesday, as you know. But we're having class like unsynchronized, like you're going to watch this video that is exactly like where we are in the material. It'll help you continue, hopefully, with homework 2 or go over or fix homework 2 and I believe homework 3. It'll pick up where we left off last class. That's what will happen in the video this Wednesday. Then and then we'll have class the following Monday and continue, and I'll start trying to tie together what phase constant has to do with what's happening in lab and the next topic. Um, that's what I'll do next Monday, which will help you for the homework. But then next Wednesday, just to be clear again, next Wednesday I'm out again. I apologize. Like that's for, treatment. But that you will have class with Professor Lou, like, because she's already like stepped up and volunteered to do all those treatment days. So it's a little confusing, and she knows her stuff. Believe me, she knows her stuff. But it'll be on Zoom, obviously. Oh, and at her address, I guess. So we'll make sure to get you that link in advance. You can even remind me by cell in advance. But anyway, next Wednesday, synchronize with Professor Lou. This Wednesday, unsynchronized, watch a video of me. Um, Also, again, I'm terribly sorry to say this, but no, I just got the time. I will have to leave right after my morning class tomorrow. I'm gonna have to leave right away to go prep for this surgery. So I won't be in the office again, which is really starting to get annoying to me, and I'm sure even more so to you. But again, any questions you have, text me. We'll set up a phone appointment. I'm in the car a lot. Um, that's really anyway, and we'll do it by phone at worst. Okay. But please forget again, I'm going to put in the chat right now my phone number just in case for anything. I mean, obviously I can't do anything like tomorrow, but just so you have it. Okay. Uh, okay. So we're gonna get back to the material today. But now so next wait. Wait. I'm looking in the chat. Oh, it's always Michael who okay, wait, in a good way. Wait, so next week classes on Tuesday. Oh my God. Right. Wait, it's on Tuesday instead of Monday. How is that gonna work? Oh my God. Um, okay. Right. I see what Michael's saying. Of course, that is true. That is complicated. All right. Thank you for reminding me. I'm not frustrated you remind me. I'm frustrated by the reality of that. Because of course, as you all know, and I'm sure you've experienced if you have jobs or families outside of John Jay, just because John Jay says Tuesday is a Monday doesn't mean the rest of the world agrees. So that can get complicated for people all right. So I have to do something about that. Thank you for I will. But I don't know yet what. But thank you for reminding me. Orc have mercy. Yeah, I can't wait to walk into Mount Sinai Hospital tomorrow and be like, by the way, you guys know Tuesday's Monday, right? I mean, obviously. Okay, anyway. Um, um, so getting back to the material, what we're gonna do today is a little unexpected, perhaps, or well, a little like to the left. Like we're in the middle of homework two and homework three. I know that, and the videos continue with homework two and homework three, and we need to finish them all so we can move on and like really, that's all this math stuff that we need to like do our physics. And some of you might be starving to get back to the physics. Me too. Um, but today, in order to kind of get us back to the physics, to kind of show you what any of this has to do with anything, any of this math has to do with anything, and also to sort of show you like what lab three has to do with lab two or etc. Because it all seems like all this like stuff that's random, maybe. What I want to do today is have some breakout rooms and a discussion, believe it or not, a conceptual discussion, believe it or not, good or bad, on a loose end that we have never tied up yet that I kept promising we eventually would. That is to say, you had to do this sheet a long time ago called Homework 1A, Unthingy Things. Remember? Woo, woo, woo. I want to ask you, so it wasn't for nothing. It wasn't meant to be busy work. It was meant to be fun, but it actually has a purpose. So what I'd like you to do first of all right now is take out that sheet or your work from that sheet. Like if you did anything and it was legible and you handed it in and you got all the points, I believe. So take out whatever you did, please, or copy or electronic, whatever. Take out homework 1A, unthingy things. Sorry, right. Right. This is where we are. Um, and what we're going to do in a moment, and I'll put it in the chat, I'm going to break you into breakout rooms. I'm going to break you into random breakout rooms. You're going to have your sheets out in front of you, and you're going to share your results. There's two objectives. I'll put it in the chat in a second to be clear. But there's two, and you're not going to be in the breakout rooms the whole period. You're going to be in for like 20 minutes, and then we're going to discuss the findings when you come back. You have two goals in your breakout room. One, just share like what you got in general, sure, but specifically share what results you got for the first big question on. I'm going to post. Oh, sorry, I'm going to screenshot the sheet so we all know what I'm talking about. Hold on a second. Or so that I can. Uh, uh, okay, here it is. Hold on. Okay, so this was the sheet we're talking about, right? And you're taking it out and you're taking out your work that you did on it. And if you didn't do any work on it, it's a good thing that I don't believe in shame, because if I did believe in shame, I would say shame on you. Luckily, I don't believe in shame, so it's a good thing I didn't say shame on you. Uh, and if you really didn't do the sheet, like think about it fast when you get in your breakout room. The first question on the sheet, well, it asks you to do these five tasks and asks you which of the five tasks were impossible. That's the first thing I want you to trade, pair and share, whatever, in your breakout room. Like, trade what you found for that. And any place that anybody disagreed, have a healthy, polite disagreement until you could sort of resolve it and come to consensus in your group. That doesn't mean just whoever's like weighs the most poundage as a human being is right, or like it's not might makes right. And it's not whoever got the best grade in physics 203 is right. It's like discuss, try to persuade each other, and come to some kind of consensus. Even if in the end you come to a consensus that says, well, most of us thought this, but like one of us thought this other thing, and like actually, like okay, we're stuck between those two views. But like, come to something that you can represent when we come back together as a group for question number five. That's one thing. That's the first thing. Um, and I'll also ask, well, a hint for that. I mean, you may or may not have disagreement in your group. You may or may not have found the five tasks like it's obvious or something. Some people do, some people don't. But one thing, if you have any controversy, if like you get to one of them and then some people are saying something clever like, yeah, but imagine if I did or if they say like, yeah, but what about like what I've read about quantum physics or something, right? Which is like legitimate, like someone could bring up something interesting like quantum physics, or if they say, wait, what if I had this strange shape that was like a Mobius strip or something, that's all fine, and you should entertain the disagreement, and you should like learn from each other. But I would say in the end, if you're trying to resolve a disagreement, ask yourself whatever interpretation of the tasks and the questions that you deployed for all the other ones where you agreed. Ask yourself if you're still consistently applying that same definition or that same rule for the one where you disagree. In other words, if you find that unconsciously someone is like making up a new way of understanding the question, not making up, but if suddenly somebody introduces that it's not clear how to interpret my whole question or the tasks in the first place, that may well be. There may be more than one way to interpret these tasks or this question. But whatever way you interpret, you should interpret consistently for all five tasks. You see what I'm saying? So that's like an important thing to keep in mind. If suddenly there's a disagreement on one task, it may be that someone suddenly discovered a new interpretation of the question for that, and fine, but then retroactively apply that to everything. Be consistent. Okay, so that task number one, I'll put in the chat before I forget. Task number one, or I'll try. Wait, where's the chat? Sorry. Hello. Uh, oh, I see. I can't put it. I mean, I could. Oh, yes, I can. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So in the and how hello, sorry, hello. So task one in breakout room. And you may want to write this down because when we go to breakout rooms, I don't think you can see the public chat. I'm not sure, but I don't think you can. So task one, all right, that's task one. And task two is then come to consensus. And this is harder and ultimately more important, perhaps. Task two is you can talk about everything you want in order to do this, but there it is. Your ultimate thing is where it says at the bottom of the sheet, the key question. Oh, it says physics 102. I'm so sorry. That is insulting. Um, okay, yes, granted, I plagiarized myself for both classes, but most of the material is different. Um, sorry, this is for physics 204. I'll fix that someday. Um, um, you want to come to consensus on question 6.3. Now it says, based on the activities you found to be possible in the browser, write down one complete sentence of English that provides your best conjecture. So you're conjecturing, like you can be wrong. Like I'm not, and I don't want you to look at, I mean, you could look it up, but I don't even think that would help. Like in terms of the context of this activity, come up with what you think people ever mean when they say a particle in physics. Again, you've heard the word a million times in your life, but I'm asking you now, what do you think they mean? And by the way, one hint is if there's some, whatever a particle is in physics, if there's a word for it, whatever a particle is, if there's a word for it, that would imply that some things aren't it. Not to be weird, but seriously, like in a way, everything in physics is a particle, presumably. But in a way, no, everything in physics is not a particle. If everything in physics were a particle, then we would have no need to have a special word for whatever it is that a particle is. And maybe a particle is something very, very small, maybe. But I would suggest to you, if it's that simple, if like a marble is a particle but a mountain isn't, or something, or an electron is a particle but a marble isn't, or something, that might be true. I don't think it is. It might be true, but then I don't know what the point of this whole sheet would be. So try to come up with some kind of definition of a particle that seems to have anything to do with anything that you're doing in this sheet. So that's your task number two. Um, what is it, 6-3? I think it's three. Yeah. And finally, and then I'll shut up, which I always say and I never do. Three, um, okay, so task number three is, and this is like the simplest, but apparently the hardest sometimes. So you're going to discuss in your break room, I mean, you really are like help like talk to each other, like be people. And even if like no one in the room has done the homework or remembers it, you can do it right there. I mean, really. So you're going to discuss, you're going to come to consensus, or at least you're going to come to what your final view is, even if there's like a majority view and a minority view or whatever on question one, whatever, on the two questions. And then explicitly, this is not a joke, explicitly decide at least one person who, when we all come back, will be ready to go when I say, can I hear from group one or breakout room one? Someone will be ready to go to just share with the rest of the group. Like, in short, we decided this, but we had disagreement on that. Like anything interesting like we decided this, and like any interesting like where we were confused or where we got to know each other really well, where two people came to fisticuffs was this issue, blah, blah. Now that doesn't mean other people can't talk also, but at least one person has to address the whole group and they have to be ready to go when I call them. Like, let's not have crickets, please, at that moment. Um, um, and then they can get tons of points and blah, blah, blah. So that is what's going to happen. Let me take off this chair. I'm going to So, first of all, can I get electronic hands that and this will be again for about 20 minutes. What time is it? Maybe about 20, 25 minutes. Then we come back and we discuss everything. And the purpose of this whole, oh, thank you. Great. Yes. Okay. So can we have electronic hands that this is clear what we're about to do? Cool. Thank you. Or nods. Yes. From video people who nod. It's awesome. It's so human. Right. No, I was saying you did. Yes. Thank you. All right. Wow. I love this class that I mentioned. And if you think I say that to every class, it's not entirely true. Okay, but okay, great. Great. All right, so that's enough. So we're gonna do the breakout. And again, the purpose of this whole thing is to show you the purpose of all the stuff we've been doing and we're gonna do in the class. All right, so I'm doing the breakout. Create. Hold on. Hello. Okay, and you can put your hands down now too, please. And if I get a chance, thank you. I will visit the breakout room, or if you want me, you could summon me from the main room. Like I'm not going anywhere, but or I might randomly pop in and say hello. But and Montserrat, you're good, right? You're just like your hand is just still up. You can put your hand down if you want, unless you have a question. No, Montserrat, you're good. Okay, great. All right, so here comes the breakout rooms. Please go to one as soon as it's assigned. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Wait, I just saw. Yeah, right, yes, I can change if two people are, oh, you are. Okay, it worked randomly. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, and Sophia and Montserrat, are you guys good? There's breakout rooms. Please go to them. Please, Sophia, are you good? Can you please go to your breakout room? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording and we shall return. Okay, welcome back. So thank you for waiting. Sorry I kept you waiting, some of you. Okay. Oh, I just lost the breakout rooms, but I forget how many there were. But all right. So, oh, five, I think. Okay. So let's just hit it. Like, let's hear from a representative from um breakout room one. Oh, and actually, we don't need this screen share, do we? It's not helpful. Hold on. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, so let's hear from, and I would suggest too, maybe when you're talking, if possible, whoever the representative is, maybe showing video or something for 2 minutes while you talk might be helpful to the rest of us. I mean, it's a discussion, whatever, whatever. But okay, group one, go. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
So we agreed on the consensus that tasks 3 and 5 were impossible. So I'm looking at my sheet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and sorry, I'm
Three,
not going to respond. Sorry, also to everybody, I want to hear from everybody. I'm going to try not, I'm not going to say like right or wrong or something like that. I just want to hear. So anyway, keep going, Raymond. Sorry, keep going.
yep.
Okay.
So 3, which is placing both things at the same point in space at the same point in time, um, doesn't isn't physically possible unless we're talking about quantum, because I'm pretty sure that's like superimposition or something like that. Or like quantum entanglement, I'm not sure. 5 also is really possible because what it asks to do put thing 2 in 2 different points in space at the same point in time, which is basically teleportation, and we haven't invented that yet. So that's not really possible. Um, for task 2, our consensus on 263, the definition of particle, more or less consisted of something that has or contains mass and like occupies space at any particular time. So I said like it's something that's made of matter and it occupies some like physical space at any particular point in time. Um, and that's like my definition of particle. I think Michael said a physical particle can be defined as a point, as an object whose center of mass exists at a single point in space at a given point in time, which cannot simultaneously occupy multiple distinct locations in a space or time. Uh, and I, I don't really feel like scrolling all the way up to see Nico and watch his answers, but yeah.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, I missed
I
that.
don't really feel like scrolling all the way up to see Nico and Munch's answers. So
Oh,
yeah, but it was something along those lines. Yeah.
okay. All right. Awesome. Very articulate, very clear. And again, I don't want to respond. And if anybody wants to respond, we'll see. Very clear. Thank you. Awesome. Everything was covered. All right. Group two. Group two. Someone has a representative. We have a representative from group two, I hope, or scramble fast because that was part of your job, comma, yo. Cricket. Yeah. We don't want crickets on this one. Come on, guys. Can I say, come on, guys? But
Do you hear me?
Oh, yes, excellent. Thank you for
Yeah,
stepping
our
up.
representative is not here right now. I don't know what happened to him, so I'll go,
Oh,
I guess.
oh, well, all right. That's good for me to know that you had one. Okay, that's who. Wait, you didn't know? Oh, well, I mean, we didn't have a group number. I mean, the breakout room, breakout room. Oh, okay. And I guess they got lost. Fair enough. I guess I should have. I still have the breakout room. So I'm talking about room two, which I believe was Camille, Jerry. Wait, am I saying that right? Tell me if I'm not.
Yeah,
Jade.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. And Jadith and Sophia. So if you had a rep and the rep is gone, that's good for me to
No,
know.
it's
Okay,
Jay.
all right, rocket. All right, go. I'm sorry. So we didn't know
Yeah,
the numbers. That's the issue. Okay, go.
that's all right. So, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the document
Sure.
one more time because I lost it. Okay, yeah. So we agreed that the only impossible tasks out of the five would be task two, or yeah, task two, three, and five.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Got it.
do you
Cool.
need us to explain further, or
I mean, if you can, that'd be great. And if you all agreed on that and there was no disagree, I mean, if there was any disagreement or anything weird, interesting happened, I'd love to hear about that. But well, I'll just ask, did every single one of you just literally say that from the start? And so you're all like, oh yeah, we totally agree. Or did like
yeah,
somebody,
we just
okay,
read them all one by one and we all agreed. We all had the same responses.
okay, noted. All right. So in fact, so I will note to everybody, this is actually interesting. Apparently this discussion is worth our time, people, because now we have a healthy disagreement between breakout room one and breakout room two. Like, and I'm not saying, and that's a good thing. Like, otherwise, if everything is obvious, why are we spending time on it? So in other words, group breakout room two listed option two or task number two as one of their impossibles, but breakout room did not. So you're right. I don't need you to discuss it
Oh,
yet.
actually, I'm sorry, Professor. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's actually not two. We only chose three and five. I misread the
Okay.
task. It was only three and five.
All
Sorry.
right. Fair enough. No problem. No
My
problem.
bad.
That would have been all right. No, that's fine. I appreciate that would have been interesting. Okay. Okay. So then keep going. You don't have to explain anything that if you could just explain the last part, like what did you say about particle?
Okay, so yeah, so we said that a particle is the smallest unit of measurement for a physical mass, taking up physical space at a corresponding point in time.
Great. Okay. Actually, read that. What I think I got it, but say the whole. Just read it exactly the way you just said it. Just say it again. I just want to get.
It's the smallest unit of measurement for a mass taking up physical space at a corresponding point in time.
Got it. Very nice. Very clear. Very precise. I will also note to everybody that is very similar and related to the definition offered by Breakout One, but it's not exactly the same. If and when there's time, we might want to hash out like some nuance distinctions between those two. They are definitely related. They definitely overlap, but they are not identical, just to note. So there is like something to discuss here or to work out. But perfect. Fine. I mean, perfectly clear. Perfect. Okay, so let's keep going. Thank you very much for stepping up. And again, Raymond and Jerry definitely submit for points. There's all kind of portals to do that. And anybody else who wants to add from any group is welcome to. But I want to hear from at least one from each group. So that brings us to breakout room number three, which was Danielle, Lila, and Samaya.
Yeah, so we concur. Actually, we said three and five were impossible.
Okay,
Um, and for our particle definition, we said that a particle is a piece of matter that occupies a unique position in time and space.
very clear, very concise. Okay, right. Very clear, very concise. Again, I'm gonna note on the first question, everybody seems to be agreeing so far, which doesn't make it right. And that's not necessarily even good, but it is the case that everybody's agreeing so far on the first one. You know what it does indicate when everybody agrees on the first one? I mean, it certainly agrees that there's a strong chance that that's right, but it also indicates to me that everybody is finding the question clear. It sounds like we all are clear on what I'm asking and what the tasks were, which is good. Okay, so everybody's agreeing on what's possible and what's impossible so far. And please, one of the groups that's left to go, don't change, if you happen to disagree, I am not saying all these people are right or that there isn't something to discuss here. So don't change your answers in advance just to, be with the majority or whatever. Like this is not democracy. This is science. And democracy is not democracy and it's not scientific. Anyway, so but then also note on the question of what a particle is, I would say so far that all the groups are in the same ballpark. Again, I think they're all interpreting my question similarly, which is good. But I would say there are some nuanced distinctions among what people are saying. And if you don't see that, you might want to ask a group to repeat or ask me to have them repeat. Like they're not identical what people are saying. I don't just mean the words, I mean the meaning is not identical, but it certainly is similar, which is good. So thank you, Lila. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Raymond. Let's go to breakout room 4, which was Leia, Luis, Montserrat, and Abdul. I understand that some people joined late. Well, whatever. That was that group. So let's hear from that group or from somebody from that group, please.
So what we end up deciding together is that 3 and 5 were also impossible. And our definition for a particle was a small object that occupies a specific place at a specific time without overlapping itself.
Oh, whoa, that was an interesting modification there. Okay, wait. So very good, very clear. Again, I'm not saying correct or incorrect, but very good, very clear. And the first, well, just read for everybody again the definition you just gave of a particle. I just want to make sure everybody hears it.
So that it's a small object at a specific place and time without overlapping itself.
Okay, so that's a new twist to everybody, right? Like the first part, very consistent with what everybody else is saying. Again, not identical, but certainly consistent. The second part, interesting, does not overlap itself. I'm tempted. I'm not gonna interrupt the flow now. Remind me when we're done with the last breakout room. I would like to go back and ask for a little expansion on what that means, but I won't ask it now, but be prepared, maybe. And it doesn't have to be you, it could be someone else from your group, but I'm very intrigued by this doesn't overlap with itself idea. Like that's definitely intriguing. But cool. All right, awesome job. Thank you. Awesome. Let's now go to what I think is the final group, breakout room 5. It's Shen, it's Joyce. Oh, it's my board, which is stupid. And Harris.
Hi. So we also came out with the agreement of the is 3 and 5 that's impossible.
Okay.
Right. And for the particle, we say a particle is a matter that occupies certain space and certain time.
Great. Okay. All very clear and very self-consistent. Well, number one, I feel like you guys understood the exercise. That doesn't mean you understand why I asked you, but you understood the exercise. That's great. Thank you. Number two, number two, can I ask who was it? Was it Louis? No, I forget. I think it was Luis. Whoever represented or somebody to represent group 4. Well, and again, thank you everybody for stepping up. Thank you, Shen. Thank you, Luis. I think it was Luis. No, yeah, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Lila. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Raymond. Stepping up is good. Thank you all for participating. And clearly you did. I mean, you clearly did stuff in your break room, so that's great. I want to ask Luis, can you just follow up? Can you just expand or somebody from your group? What do you mean by, and this is not a challenge, I'm just interested. What do you mean by does not overlap with itself?
I meant as in, I think what's similar to what other groups said as it won't be at the exact same, well, if a particle that's in the same distance will occupy the same distance at wait, I don't explain it actually. Wait, how did everybody get here? So that it won't occupy the same space. Wait, how do I explain? I don't explain this well. I wrote it as so it won't occupy at the exact same. So at different time, so the exact same time, it won't occupy at the same space. I think I was trying to say similar to what other people are saying. I think I kind of confused myself with saying overlapping itself.
Wait, no, I think you're on to something. Like, I know it seems like I'm challenging you and putting you on the spot, but I think you're on to something. And yes, you are onto something that some of the other groups are trying to say too. And it is confusing. All this is very confusing in a way, and it gets hard. But okay, but I think you're onto something. So don't take it back. But Lila, I think, is here to help. Go, Lila.
Yeah, I think what that group meant by overlapping itself is what, or like not overlapping itself is what my group meant by saying a unique position in time and space, and that a particle is something that cannot be in the same point in space and time, like at the same time as another particle. Like it has to have an independent position in space and time. It can't like share that with something else. So I think that's what we were, at least that seems to be my understanding of what we were all trying to articulate, but please, I don't want to misinterpret anybody.
Okay, no, boom. Very helpful. All right, since we have 12 minutes, I'm going to yeah. I think this is great. Here's the deal. Yes, I think Alila is right that I do think that is what Luis was trying to say, Luis's group. And I think many of the groups did say that, but not all of them. And this is not about right or wrong or critique or any. Here's what the reason, by the way, the word overlap is a great word. That's why I'm glad you introduced it. But then why it got confusing to you, I think, Luis, or to you groups, like because I think you said overlap itself, which was a reasonable thing to think, but I think you actually meant maybe or originally meant what Lila is getting at, which is overlap another particle. I think that's what you're trying to get at. So here's the deal, or maybe not, but what is what many of the groups, so the issue is what's a particle? What we're really, it starts, these exercises that you're doing that seems sort of silly, like put this here, put this there. Blah, blah. It seems like you're sort of trying to navigate like what's going on in time and space. I mean, you are. And it almost seems the way the sheet's going that we're like trying to look for a definition or properties of time and space. And in a way, we are. But in a way, in the end of the day, what we're really looking for is properties of things. And the properties of things are defined in terms of how they behave in time and space. So what it is that you all found, oh, and I agree, by the way, you all found that task 3 and task 5, and only task 3 and task 5 were impossible. I fully agree that that is correct. Like on an intuitive macroscopic level. And like quantum aside, we could like someday we'll talk about quantum, or we won't actually, but you can in my office or on the phone. But we're trying to, but even whatever, we're talking about like what can be observed macroscopically with the 5 senses and what can be visualized or considered on a rational, intuitive level with the human mind, neither of which is quantum mechanics. I'm not saying it's not right, by the way. It is right, but it's neither of those two things. I mean, it's as right as any science is. I don't know that any science is right, but if science is right, quantum mechanics is right now. But okay, what we're getting at is I agree with all of you. 3 and 5 are impossible. The issue is who cares? What does it mean? It means something about what a particle is. And here's what, and you were all right to realize that the definition of a particle ultimately is something to do with the 3 and the 5. And almost all of you tried to articulate well, first of all, a lot of you articulated a definition of particle that had to do with either like that said something about it being very, very small. That's often the way the word is used, but I want to make clear right now from here on in physics, when we say particle, we don't actually ultimately have to mean something small. Like ultimately in physics, a planet is a particle. Now, to be clear and fair, when we apply physics equations to a planet, we will often deliberately apply physics equations to some point in the planet, like the center of mass of the planet, kind of like the way the exercises were asking you to think that way. We will often focus on one dot in the planet at a time, but the planet is considered a particle, even though it's very, very large. So I will just say, to be clear, like the size thing is like usage and connotation, but that is not a requirement of a particle for it to be very small. What is a requirement of a particle is that first of all, that it occupies space and time at all. And this is where the other questions on the sheet come in. And by the way, I'm just talking now because we only have 8 minutes. So you really might want to write this down. Like for something to be part of physics, for something to be studied in physics, for a thing to be studied in physics, it must occupy space and time in a measurable, reproducible, and predictable way. I will say that one more time. For something to be part of physics at all, it's got to occupy space and time in a measurable, reproducible, and predictable, even though gets very complicated in quantum mechanics, but I'm going to stand by it anyway. For something to be part of physics, to be analyzable by physics, to be within the domain of discussion of physics, it's got to occupy space and time in a measurable, reproducible, and predictable way. That's statement one that I'm making. That's part of some of the questions on the sheet. So physics is that stuff. Like, so in other words, for example, like justice, which is what this whole college is about. And I believe it. Like, I believe justice exists. I believe it's really important to believe that justice. I also believe injustice exists. And I believe it's really important and meaningful to believe that justice, and I also believe love and hate exist. And I'm even willing to believe that it's more important to think about love and hate than it is to think about physics. Like, I'm not going to get into that. Like, love and hate and justice and injustice are part of reality. They're real, but they're not part of physics for the simple fact, not that they don't exist, but that we can't measure them, their occupation of time and space. Like right at this point in history, like justice is real, but I don't believe that justice exists in Bed-Stuy, but it doesn't exist in Crown Heights or something like that. Like, no, or like, and if it, you know what I'm saying. So physics is not all of reality, but physics is that aspect of reality that we can measure, reproduce, and predict within time and space. Now, that's what physics is. Now, or that's what things that exist. Now, it turns out that some things in physics are called particles. Those are the things that do occupy space and time in a measurable way, but are restricted in the way that they occupy space and time. As I think every group conjectured, a particle is something that, although it does exist in space and time, it exists in various ways in space and time, it doesn't ever disobey, it doesn't ever do task three. Like, for something to be a particle, it exists in one space at one time. Like, I think all of you said that in one way or another, and kudos to you. If something is a particle, it exists in one space at one time. But then that's task three, right? It like doesn't not do that. It doesn't disobey that. If it's a particle, it can't exist in two spaces at one time, or 2 points in space at one point in time. But also, as many of the groups, and this was the harder part, many of the groups, I think, honestly, not all of them, but I think many of the groups realized, oh, well, if the definition of a particle has to do with like what it can do and what it can't do, and if task three was one of the things that a particle can't do, then we got to sort of like bring task five into there also. Now, not all the groups did that, but many of them did, but it got harder to articulate with task five. That's why we had the little Lewis-Lila discussion, and I'm glad we did. Like, it's like a harder thing to pin down because all of a sudden task five is not about one particle, it's all of a sudden about two. But what I would say is some version, and again, this many people said something like this. I would say in physics, a particle is something that exists in a particle is something. It is an entity. A particle is an entity that occupies one point in space at one point in time and never co-occupies one point in space at one point in time with another particle. That's what it is, right? So particles are things that occupy space and time, yeah. Therefore, we talk about them in physics. But more than that, they occupy space and time in a restricted way. They don't spread and they don't share. I'll say that one more time. A particle is something that occupies space and time without spreading nor sharing. And I believe the word overlap was trying to get at, like, it was sort of trying to say share, but then it sort of ended up being spread, if that makes any sense. Which is why it was great that it was brought up. It shows the nuances. I'm going to say it one last time, and then for 3 minutes, I can tell you why you care, or why I want you to care, and what this has to do with all the freaking math that we're doing. But I'll say it one more time. A particle, I mean, informally, this is an informal definition. A particle is an entity that occupies space and time in a physics way, but neither spreads nor shares. Okay. If you want in more technical terms, a particle is an entity that obeys the Pauli exclusion principle from chemistry. If you're familiar with that, that might help you. If you're looking for more precision, that's a more precise way of saying what I'm saying, or a more rigorous way. Now we got 2 minutes left. Why am I saying all this? Because none of this would be interesting if that's all there ever was to study in physics. Sorry, so a particle is a thingy thing. A thingy thing is something that is a place at a time and knocks out other places from being at that place, like a tennis ball. Like it feels material. Informally, a thingy thing, a particle is massive, material, discrete, separatable from other particles, countable. Those are what particles are. But they're not the only things that move through space and time in a physics way. There are things that exist in the world scientifically, verifiably, measurably. Blah, blah. There are entities that exist in the physical world that don't obey that don't obey number 3 or number 5. What the heck are they? Write this down, please. And we've got 1 minute. Water waves, even waves on a slinky, lab 3. Water waves, sound waves, electrical currents, electrical fields, magnetic fields, electromagnetic radiation, i.e., light. I'll bang through that list. Oh, heat would be another example, although it's not part of this class. I'll bang through that list one more time. Wave pulses on a string, two-dimensional waves on the surface of water, sound waves through air, all kind of slightly different waves, but all important. Electrical currents, electrical fields, magnetic fields, electromagnetic radiation, i.e. light. Now, we only have 1 minute left, so if you didn't get that list, just replay the video. I apologize. But with no minutes left. Those things all exist in a real scientific way and are totally studyable by physics, but all of them are entities that spread out in space and share space with other entities at the same time. The fact that you can hear a chord or a guitar player playing while you hear the singer means that two sounds are literally hitting your eardrum at the same time. No joke, right? So there's tons of things in physics that overlap, that are ghostly, that are immaterial, that are untangible, that are unthingy. They're still real. And that's the point of this course. The point of this course ultimately is to study unthingy things, not where physics 203, I know we're just about physics 203, you studied the trajectories of particles. Physics 204, you study the flow of information. It's still motion through space and time, but it's not of material entities. It's of abstract entities, ultimately known as information. All the mass on the springs thing that we're doing is to build up the math that we need ultimately to understand waves and fields and radiation. That's the point. Have a nice week. Oh, and if you have a question, I'm going to stop the recording. I'll totally hang out for a second to get questions, but all the rest you can go because I think classes are, yeah, but I'll totally get you if you have, or unless it was a thumbs up, but take care. Yes, yes, yes. I'm stopping the recording, but we're good. Quark bless America.
Thanks, Professor. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.